country music is so guitar heavy. Like if
Oh
that's
yeah.
gone, like man, you're not much left with much.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like I mean, the sig on every song was guitar. It's
Yeah,
just one of
yeah.
those things. So, anyways, it went fine, and I think a combination of they were just so relieved that it went well, and so mad at that other guy that they were just kind of like, "Hey, man, she's only got like 8 more shows the rest of the year. Do you want to just do them all? Yeah, sure." And then that led to a few months later, the bass player in that band said, "Hey, I'm doing this other thing too, and
Hmm.
the dates don't conflict and you can do them both, and would you want to, that guitar player just left, and yeah, do this, and yeah, can't sign me up, and I started doing that and was doing those, still working like a job, still like waiting tables when I
Hmm.
was home. And then that kind of went on for a few months, and then one of the guys that played steel in one of those bands called me and said, "Hey, I'm out with this guy Josh Turner. He's doing pretty good. He's had this hit song, and his guitar player we're in Florida, and the guitar player just quit to take this
Oh,
other gig, and he's like, they're going to do auditions. Do you want?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want. Yeah, well, I would like to audition." And I did an audition and got in with Josh, and then that's where I stayed for. I was there with him for 5 years with Josh Turner touring, and I kind of quickly became his band leader. The guy that quit was the old band leader, and we just kind of didn't have one for a little bit. And then after I'd been there about 6 months, Josh was like, "Hey man, do you want to just be the band leader?"
hmm.
And which was again an interesting dynamic, because at that point I'm like 21 and some of the dudes in the band were 50.
Sure.
But it was what it was. Everybody was great. That was a good thing. And interesting point. Like even when I got that gig, like when I got when I did the audition and I got asked to come out there, man, I still was like just barely good enough to have done that gig. Like I had gotten myself to the point where I could learn his records and learn the parts and recreate them pretty good. I could learn the solos and all that kind of stuff. But my ear was always getting better, and there were probably a few notes I wasn't playing right, here or there. But everybody was cool and the vibe was good, and I was doing it. And so even after I got the gig, I was like still like I would come home and still pull his records on and try to like learn them, because like as my hands were getting better and as my ears were getting better, and I was getting more comfortable on the job, I started like revisiting and kind of being like, oh wow, I've been playing that wrong this whole time. I mean, it's
Hmm.
close, but I can tell now he's
Hmm.
actually, if there's one extra note in it that I've been missing this whole time, or whatever. So I spent the first 2 years with Josh kind of in that headspace where I was still, really focused on continuing to grow. And of course now that's my full-time job. Like I'm making some decent money. So I started like buying equipment and like trying to elevate that part of my thing and continue to have myself tour ready, because when I, again, same thing with on the gear perspective, when I got the gig, I had just enough. In fact, I had to borrow one guitar. I had to borrow a guitar from my dad because there was one song in Josh's set that needed a crazy tuning, and the way it panned out, I couldn't do it in real time, and I had to ask my dad for a loaner for a while, and then saved up enough money and bought one, and so I could give him the loaner back. And so that was kind of the first couple years. And then it was about 2.5 years, I felt really comfortable. I was like, you know what, I'm in a good spot here, everything's going great, Josh's career was going well, but kind of knew I didn't want to do the touring game for a long time. And I was always just more passionate about the studio and recording, and hearing my own parents kind of reverence for the Nashville recording community as a kid growing up. It was just like, those are the baddest fuckers walking. Like that was the, my house, that was the connotation. It's like, man, yeah, the dudes that play on these records, those are the baddest guys. Those are the best musicians in the world. And it's like you grow up being a Yankees fan, like your dream is
Sure.
to go play for the Yankees, right? It's
Sure.
that kind of thing, or whatever, insert whatever analogy you want.
Yeah.